She's fading. We gotta go. I'll get my car. What mine? Yours. I gotta get me one of those.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bat Dance Discussions. So, the Penguin finally finished this week, and there is a lot to discuss. What does this mean for the Batman Epic Crime Saga? We'll discuss. And then at the end, we're going to discuss a certain rumor about DC itself being for sale. So, we're not going to waste any time. Please welcome as I bring on Zodwriter. How are you, man?
Good, man. Good to be here. How are you?
Excited. I'm pumped. We have, a lot to talk about this week. And, just a series I did not expect to really be talking about like this. I'll be honest with you. It was better than I expected it to be before it came out, but we'll get into that. It looks like my other guests today. Are you ready? It looks like you're okay. Perfect. Please welcome as I bring on Josh Herrera, President Snyder.
Zack Snyder for president. What's going on, Zodwriter? What's going on, Bat Dad?
What's going on, Josh? Just Josh. Yes, sir.
Oh, right. Just Josh, my mortal enemy, right? One Punch Stand's mortal enemy.
July, the real showdown, the real fight begins.
Oh, right. Yeah, UFC is on tonight, which, maybe we should be watching because Zack Snyder's going to direct a UFC movie, but
I'm sure Zack Snyder's probably at the event.
What up, Curly Ray? Well, if Zack Snyder's at the event, then this guy's definitely not Zack Snyder, but Yeah, Sin Havoc. I'm not saying I disagree with you, but I'm just gonna call it what it's called. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the epic crime saga that probably won't get a sequel.
Well, we'll talk about that later. Let's just say if it doesn't get a sequel, I hope it's not because of a certain person. That's all I'll say for now to not spoil that part of the discussion.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the hack?
Yes.
Okay.
And just as a warning right now, spoiler warning, people, we're going to jump straight into the Penguin. There will be some other topics, maybe. We'll see. It depends how far we get into the Penguin.
Oh, look at what Sin Havoc said. He could be two places at once.
Yeah, fair enough. Wait, did...
Okay, well, we're... yeah.
I don't know. Are you like confirming something, Sin Havoc? I don't even know with you anymore. Sin Havoc's very cryptic. We'll say that.
Blame CERN. Blame it on CERN. Yeah.
You too, Zod. You too.
Yeah. Hey.
Anyways, spoiler warning, people. If you have not seen the Penguin, get out now. This is your only warning. Spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Penguin kills Vic in the last episode after Vic calls him family. You've been spoiled, so now we'll move on. Ozcob, name change. We'll start with you, Josh. What's your thought on this? On changing his name to... Well, to clarify for people, he does actually go by Oswald. Oz is a nickname, but he is actually called Oswald, whereas Cobb actually is his last name in this series. What about you, Josh? What do you think of this name change?
Honestly, when I heard before it happened, like, because I don't think it was actually stated in the Batman movie, right? It wasn't.
No.
It was just the Penguin. He was just called the Penguin, right? Mostly. So when I heard about it in the series, I was just kind of annoyed, honestly. But hearing it just in the world and the atmosphere, it worked. So I didn't really care too much. And I think I said the last time we talked about this show, like, in my opinion, when he becomes what he is destined to become, he could possibly be like, oh, I'm going to change my name to Cobblepot, so I didn't really care. In this show, it didn't bug me too much.
Okay, fair enough. What about you, Zod?
Yeah, it makes sense to me for this show, for a more serious take on the character, that they would change it to give some more creative license to the character. And, as Sin Havoc so eloquently put it and told us previously, that, this was supposed to be Zack Snyder's Penguin. So I'm pretty sure that they just wanted to, like, make an adjustment just for the sake of it, really. And yeah, I mean, I agree, Sin Havoc, it was kind of stupid. You could have just left it. Would it really have mattered if his name was Cobblepot? I don't know. Like Josh, I really don't care.
I guess for me, I didn't really like it just because I'm not a fan of name changes for the sake of a name change. But yeah. I will say this, Josh. If they do actually have a story reason and he changes his name to Cobblepot, that I think I will be okay with. So right. We'll see on that. But I think for now, the name change just feels like a change for the sake of a change.
Yeah, very much like Harley Quinn and the Joker movie. So I mean, it just didn't bother me as much as Joker 2 did, I guess.
Oh yeah, that movie. That last time we were all together, right? We did a rag on that movie. But, didn't kill the series for me. And it's not like it was a big plot point. So, again, we'll see. We'll see how things go going forward. And again, maybe this will change. Maybe in the Batman Part 2, which he's confirmed to be in, he will be Cobblepot. So, we'll see.
Yeah, let's look at this comment for a minute, because that's what we got in this stupid Amazon animated series. We got the Penguilina.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, though, it's not like Batman has a good female rogues gallery or anything, so they had to change it.
Yeah. Wow.
And for people who don't know me, I'm a very sarcastic person sometimes, because I know Aaron Fisher has this issue. He'll post something obviously sarcastic, and people don't realize he's being sarcastic. So, pointing that out for any new viewers. Hello, Sean Franklin.
What's going on?
Okay, so now Oz Cobb, Justice Steppenwolf. So I'm sure you guys are wondering what I mean when I'm calling him Justice Steppenwolf. But I'll put it like this. Who was Justice Steppenwolf working for I guess I call him Justice Steppenwolf. So who was Steppenwolf working for in Justice League?
His mother.
Yeah, exactly. His mother, his whole, like, the mother boxes, or
mother.
He had a very weird obsession with mother, which Penguin.
Well, it's playing off of the whole. It's playing off of the whole Oedipus Rex story. If you know anything about Greek mythology, it's just a play on all of that.
Yep. Zod nailed it.
100%. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think I've even heard Steppenwolf being called Oedipus on YouTube before.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But this was kind of similar to Oscob in this series, though, is that his whole motivation is like his mother. And speaking of Oedipus, even in the final episode, he has his girlfriend dress up as his mom. So
yeah, that's kind of like all the weird, bizarre modern day incestuous fetishes that people have today for some reason. It's ridiculous. So it plays right in, so it plays right into that. It actually, he wouldn't be the only one.
Yeah, this stream, hopefully the stream doesn't get taken down for this, but that's okay.
No, it's just true, though. It's just really, that's how it is.
But what you said, Zod, I actually did kind of, as much as I'm making fun of Justice Steppenwolf, I really did like this for Penguin, because it shows that he's not all there. It's kind of like the last 2 episodes especially. It shows that this guy is insane, that he is crazy. We spend this whole season, we're rooting for Penguin. A lot of us are rooting for Penguin.
Kind of.
Well, yeah, we know he's a villain, but I feel...
Because let's be clear, okay? Sophia was the hero of the show.
This guy gets it.
She is the anti-hero. She is that character. Okay.
He's that girl.
he is an evil bastard. She is that character. So it.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like with Penguin, they make him seem like, oh, maybe he's a decent guy. Maybe he's like a villain with morals, but then slowly they build him up. I don't know. I felt like...
Is it just me? Batman, can I ask you a question? Is it just me? Guys, is it just me, or is it that Penguin was so... Maybe it's because Penguin was so one-dimensional in Matt Reeves' NyQuil version of Batman that's why this series seems so much like a revelation, because every character in that movie was so underdeveloped and just cartoonish that when you see something like this where there's actual depth and actual character, it's very jarring to accept that this actually takes place in the same reality as the Robert Pattinson Batman movie. It's very, very difficult to reconcile the two because it's so well developed.
Well, Zod, it's funny because I was texting you about this, and I was at work. We were talking about the Penguin series, and someone, one of my coworkers really likes the Penguin, and then I mentioned that this series is connected to the Batman. They didn't realize that this series was canon to the Batman, and this person hated the Batman movie. So it is funny though. It is. What up, Qatar?
Dr. Qatar, what's up, buddy?
Dr. Qatar in the house. Doctor.
Are you talking about The Dark Knight Rises or The Dark Knight Returns in episode 8? Oh, wait, are you talking about the whole... We'll get into that later. If you're talking about Vic, we'll get into that topic later. But if that's what you're talking about, let me know, because we'll circle back to that. But I guess, Josh, what was your thoughts on the Penguin's relationship with his mom in this movie?
So kind of like what Zod, I totally get what you're saying, Zod. I know the culture and the times we're living in. Like, I just watched the Menendez brothers documentary on Netflix, or the series.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a lot of things about what you just said, right? And if you go to websites, certain adult websites, yes, there's a whole section.
You see a lot of stuff about, about family therapy and family activities that are not...
Remember, kids, don't watch too much porno. If you know, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
So, it's ridiculous. It's like, what have they done? Like, what are we turning society into, Josh? I mean, it's a bunch of...
However, you just kind of like
mother.
You're very truthful in what you say, Zod, about the Oedipus Rex concept, right? You know, kill his father, marry his mother, you know, kind of thing. We don't get that backstory of the father in this, but for me, coming from a psychology background, and, you know, being fascinated by people and the human brain and behavior, I did love this, in my opinion, new introduction into the Penguin canon, right? We never, to my knowledge, right, we never really have a legitimate, like, this is the Cobblepots, the father and the mother of, you know, in Returns, we get obviously Pee Wee Herman and his mother, you know, throwing baby Danny DeVito over the bridge, right? But we don't get the backstory. We just know they're aristocrats. And other mediums, we never really get that background. She, the mother, I'm sure we're going to go into it, is one of the best additions and performances in the series, in my opinion. Only second to Sofia Falcone, or Gigante. But yes, I found that very fascinating, Bat Dan. And I didn't know at first when you had this title, where were you going with it? But it's a great, you know, comparison to maybe what they were trying to do with Justice League, right? But Zach did it better in ZSJL, obviously, and even plussed it with having Darkseid and Steppenwolf, of course. But
there's no mother referenced in, like, right. I mean, the mother boxes exist, but they're not like referenced as an actual mother entity.
Right. Zach basically turned it around and made it about the relationship, like a brotherly or almost a familial relationship between Darkseid and Steppenwolf, versus it being all about the Oedipus complex that we get for Justice League. See, this is how you know about, because it all can go back to the scumbags that are in charge over at WB that decided to do all that crazy stuff that made no sense.
Mm-hmm. And with the series, you know, for me, kind of, you nailed it, Zod. Like, I really grasped for what was new with the Penguin, right? Because you didn't, in my opinion, get anything in that movie, the Batman.
No, he was a one-dimensional piece of trash. Like, they didn't really give him anything. That's why I'm so surprised. I'm surprised they were able to pull, you know, this character from that. I mean, talk about having nothing to work with. I mean, it's just like, wow.
They did it, and right, and I think that they're better for it. Like, we've talked on the last stream about it. Like, it's, in my opinion, these people, these showrunners, are better suited for this world, in my personal opinion, than the director of the
Matt Reeves, whatever they're calling it, Batman True Crime Saga, should basically be a TV show. It shouldn't even be a movie. They shouldn't even do a sequel. It should just be a series, you know, that just focuses on this world, and they should just use the Penguin as a springboard to continue from there. I don't understand why you even need to make another theatrical film, because it's just going to dilute the quality of what you got. I mean, people are comparing the Penguin to the Sopranos, for God's sake, and are praying that we get a second season. So the reality is that if it's that good and it's that great, that means it stands on its own. And at this point, it's hard to understand why they would even bother. They should just fire Matt Reeves and scrap the idea altogether.
I do have an alternate suggestion, but playing off what you said, Zodwriter, but we'll get into that later.
I love what Sin Havoc is saying here. It's probably true.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it proves that Matt Reeves is as big of a hack, maybe not quite as big, but around like a mid-sized hack compared to James Gunn. James Gunn is the ultimate hack. Matt Reeves is kind of the guy in the middle. And I'll always hate Matt Reeves because of what he did to Ben Affleck. But it's hard to deny, the superiority of this series. If I were Matt Reeves and I'm looking at that show, I'd be thinking, my God, this is better than anything I could ever come up with. I might as well quit right now and move on and maybe sell some cars or insurance or get into another line of work, because this is just not my thing.
Oh, I have an idea for what Matt Reeves should do. I know exactly what Matt Reeves should do, and we'll save that. We will save that. But Zodwriter, I like what you just said. I totally agree with you. Matt Reeves is a hack, and Lauren, I forget her last name, but shout out to her. She did a great job. And just my thoughts on this, I really love this. I really love this motivation for Penguin. It just showed what a sick character he is. And plus, gotta remember, what did I think her name is Frances. What did she make Penguin promise her, or Oz promise her? Is that if she turns into a vegetable, he will kill her. And not that I normally condone killing your mom, but if your parent is old and a vegetable and they have in their will to not be put on life support, you should honor that wish. And instead, he's like, oh, you live in a penthouse now. You're a vegetable, but look, you live in a penthouse. Just shows how sick Penguin really is.
So if there's a season 2, she'll probably be in it as like a Weekend at Bernie's kind of scenario. Where he'll have her cadaver in multiple scenes, just because he can't get over his mother.
That would be an easy paycheck for the actress. That would be a really easy paycheck for her. Being like,
I think that if they bring her back though, and they go that far, they may bring her out of her coma.
Oh, you think it might do? Oh, interesting. I could see that. And, well, I'm not surprised Gunny Poo would give them notes, because he doesn't.
Gunn is such a. It's almost like the showrunner for Penguin should be in charge of DC. That's how good this show was. She should just be in charge of DC, because she seems like she gets it. She actually took a literal turd and polished it and somehow made it, like something that we can consume. And not only that, we can actually enjoy. And just the idea of what we're talking about here, it's almost like she's the Penguin's true mom. Lauren is the mother. Come on, Lauren. We're gonna put you in charge of DC when they lock up James Gunn.
Lauren LaFranc.
LaFranc.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure I get her name, because I want to credit her for this great series. And now, moving on, speaking of the Penguin's mom, the backstory. So the flashbacks. When Penguin is a kid, he loves his mom so much, he wanted her all to himself, and he killed his brothers. And I saw that. I'm like, damn.
He basically sentenced his brothers to death. He didn't kill his brothers. He sentenced them to death, because he knew when he closed that door, there was no way they were going to get out.
No way they were going to get out. And it was raining. Plus, he saw it was raining. He didn't tell his mom, hey, I thought that my brothers are locked in there, because it's funny, because at first I watched it, I thought it was just like a stupid prank he was playing on his brothers. I'm like, oh, brothers being stupid. But then it's like, no, it's raining. He knows it's raining. He knows it's flooding. And he just lets them drown. I'm like, you sick bastard.
But what I question about that is whether or not he intended for that to happen at that time, or if he was just pissed off because they once again used his disability against him. And I guess they have a history of doing that from what we've noted, from what the show was showing us. And I wonder if he just, again, he was an opportunist and he took advantage of the opportunity to get them out of the way by simply saying, okay, this is how I can handle it. I honestly have been thinking about that. Like, I don't think he necessarily intended for that to be the case, but things just worked out in his favor at that point.
And he didn't seem upset about it.
No. He seemed like it was, this is one of the reasons why he has such a strong, drive in terms for a character of like a destiny, guys. Cause like, this is a guy that, things just tend to work out for him. It's ridiculous. Like whatever he wants to happen, somehow it happens for him. And we saw examples of this all throughout the series of how his good fortunes were just he had almost like an embarrassment of riches as far as like his good fortune.
Yeah, well, and there's one character we're definitely going to bring that up with, and that was definitely an issue for me. And Sin Havoc, this did actually happen because they were talking about this without Penguin actually there, because they were interrogating Francis with that. So that did actually happen. I mean, in terms of the world of Penguin, obviously the show's fiction, so it didn't happen in that regard. But in terms of the canoncy of this universe, it did happen. What about you, Josh? What's your thoughts on this whole backstory of Penguin?
No, Zod, you're right about that. Like, in my opinion, like I kind of wrestled as someone who works with somebody with disabilities, right? The bullying and treating people as other. I'm sure Oz probably felt that from his other abled brother.
Right. He's like, how difficult it is for me to get up and down the stairs. Like he's like, and it was played in such a brilliant way. Like that child actor, he was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's another one that, like, my God, I would watch like a young Penguin series about his entire childhood. I would watch that with that kid because he's just really, really well, a well polished actor. He pulled it off. I believed everything that he said. And it was chilling too, because everything that he said, it was almost like, my God, this kid is not kidding. Again, he knows he has a destiny, and he is not going to let anything get in the way of him getting that destiny.
And that's kind of what I thought about it. Because of course I was wrestling kind of like you were. And I was like, well, he kind of got to the point where he's like, you know what? Forget y'all, and just knocked him away, right?
Right. I mean, like a bridge too far kind of a thing. Like, because we don't know how many times some stuff like that has happened in the past. That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't necessarily see it as like a vindictive thing, like he intended to get rid of his brothers, but it just fell into place so beautifully for him. It's hard to argue, knowing
where Bat Dan, I kind of go where you're, because when you see the after with him and his mom has no idea, so she's just there. Okay, well, I have one son. All right, well, what you want to put on your favorite movie? And then she's cuddling with him. And in my opinion, when you see him and there's a shot of him and he's just being caressed by his mom and he's nestled up,
right.
That is my opinion. So happy. You see the birth of the Penguin and the destiny start, because then you see he has, in my opinion, the kid, as the rain is coming down outside, there's no remorse. He's just feeling comforted by mom and the one-on-one attention that he
has it all to himself. He has it all to himself, and he doesn't have to share with his scumbag brothers who basically picked on him and exploited his handicap his entire childhood. And now he's got everything. He's got the world. He's like a kid in a candy store. And of course he wants to do everything for his mother and make his mother happy, because her attention is what drives him, is what drives his entire his entire path forward. It's insane, but it makes sense.
And you can
Exactly.
see him realizing the opportunistic, manipulator that he is. They put themselves down there. They really did, but he just took
Yeah.
advantage of that vulnerability and ended up getting what he wanted in a dark, sadistic way at the sacrifice of his two brothers. So
Because it makes you wonder if he would have eventually did something to rid himself and his mother of his
He
brothers. But
he would have.
that situation there made it so comfortable and easy. He didn't have to do nothing. All he had to do was close the door and go home. That's crazy.
he took advantage of the opportunity.
I mean, the way I look at it is, the thing is, if they didn't do it that time, another opportunity would have come up again at some point. Maybe that exact same opportunity on a different day. But people who have that in them, if they will definitely do it again if given the opportunity. So, absolutely, I think he would have done that again, or I think he would have done that again if given the opportunity at a different moment. But it just shows the Penguin. It kind of shows again that Penguin. Like, the origin of his sadisticness is like he was picked on by his brothers, and then he let it go too far. But the funny thing is, too, before he even did it, they were apologizing to him before they realized they were at his mercy.
Yeah, because they knew they were screwed. They knew there was no way for them to get out. And I guarantee you, based off of what we gather from how he was psychologically with regard to his brothers, if he would have let them out, they probably would have came after him and probably picked on him even harder.
Well, no, they apologized to him before Penguin even closed the door on them.
No, I know that, but because he closed the door and then he wouldn't let them out. I bet you if he finally did let them out, they would have came after him again. So he knew he was saving himself grief and he was getting his mother to himself. So it's almost like he killed two birds with one stone there.
Is that a pun? Penguin, birds?
Yeah, intentionally. Because I think they were referred to as birds too in the show, weren't they? The two brothers?
Yeah, I think so. I think they even didn't they do that birds of a feather expression?
They kind of, but they alluded to the two in one of the stories. They alluded to the two of them being birds or something. Yeah, it was kind of, they were trying to tie it all together. Yeah.
But but that's a very good point. But yeah, it's a very logical backstory, but shows again how it took a small push to make Oz the cold-blooded person that he is today. And it starts with childhood. Like, how you act in childhood can shapes who you are as an adult. So now I kind of want to get into Ozcob. Other thoughts on this character. What are your thoughts on just him in general?
Well, as you said earlier about the idea of him being someone that, as a viewer, we're kind of rooting for Cobb to succeed because we're seeing a level of generosity in the character. You're seeing a level of kindness in the way that particularly in the way that he treated Victor, the way that he treated some of the other people he has a charm about him, about the character that makes it seem like he's sympathetic and he cares about. He's like the ultimate sociopath. Like you get the idea that he genuinely does care about people. Like there were points in that show where I actually felt like he cared about Sophia. I actually believe that Sophia was someone that he was gonna like sincerely work with. Like he genuinely cared about Sophia and believed that all the rest of them were scum, but he was going to protect Sophia. Like he was going to take on that role. And then the whole dynamic, aside from the dynamic between him and his mother that we talked about, the idea of him and Victor too, him being a mentor, almost being a father to this troubled youth, and essentially showing and I think that's one of the main reasons why we ended up being like, we were rooting for him, because we saw how Victor kind of became his Robin, and he's it was sort of like the other side of the coin. Like, you have, like, heads, you would have Batman and Robin, and tails, you would have Penguin and Victor. It sort of mirrors the Bat family, the Batman story, in sort of a way. It's almost like if you were to take Bruce Wayne and then you were to flip it and then have Bruce Wayne mentoring Robin, only to kill him in the end because family is a liability. But here's the thing: therein lies the difference between Penguin and Bruce Wayne. Oz versus Bruce Wayne. But I see kind of like a mirror dynamic that they were going for. Like, they took the whole Batman Robin thing and kind of turned it on its head with Victor and Oz.
I like what you said, because what is Jason Todd? How did Jason Todd meet Batman?
Yeah, he was trying to steal the tires off of the Batmobile.
Yeah. Just like, I don't remember if it was actually the tires specifically with Vic, but at least trying to steal parts of his car. They basically took the bit of that story. They made Victor kind of like a Jason Todd type character. Yeah. And it's funny because, like, towards the end, because the thing what I like with the Penguin is, like, with Vic especially, like, I believe that Penguin cared about Vic. I still actually believe that even towards the end, he did care about Vic.
He did care about him, but that was the problem. That's why he had to kill him, because he knew that if he continued to have him around, having family, knowing what his ambition is, okay? His ambition was to become the king of criminals in Gotham. He wanted to become the top, right? And if you have people you care about, you have family, so to speak, your family can be used against you as ways to get things that other people want. And so if he doesn't have family, and Vic was the closest thing to him taking Vic out himself allows him to carry on forward with none of that. Because look at his mother. His mother's in a comatose state. His mother's not going anywhere.
No.
So it's like he doesn't need Vic. He doesn't need Vic because Vic would be the closest to him. Vic wasn't just a soldier. Vic, again, was considered family. So when so by getting rid of Vic, now you have no family, you have no guardrails, you have nothing holding you back. You can just pursue just your blind ambition. And the whole idea is he's keeping his mother alive, and he wants to do this because he wants to continue to show his mother that he can accomplish great things in his mind. So I don't see it. I see it as almost like it was a great character study. This whole character, everything we got to see, and and then equally too, the relationship again between Oz and Sophia to me stood out quite a bit too, because like I said, I genuinely thought that he cared about her at one point, but we saw how that turned out. So,
well, I have some stuff to say about that, but I'll let you go first, Josh. What's your thoughts just in general about the Penguin or Ozcop, whatever?
Just going back to what Zod said, like, truth be told, hated the Batman, and I actually did not like Cobb in the Batman. And I said this on your last time we talked about this, Bat Dan, because he was a lackey. There was, in my opinion, he was no reason to be the Penguin in that role that he served, other than the Arsberg Lounge. But I hated to see him working under Carmine, So for me, he wasn't Penguin to me. However, because of this show and how good it is, it inspired me to attempt to go back and watch the Batman after episode 5, and I fell asleep. Y'all know in the group chat. It took me 3 days. 3 days to finish a 3-hour TV series. It's basically a TV series, Todd. The Batman is basically the TV series because it's so fucking long, but boring.
And boring and horrible to get through. It's a slog. It puts you to sleep to the point where I literally tried to do what you did, what you were trying to do too. And I could feel my eyes drooping. I could literally feel myself as it was starting, I could feel myself getting so tired, almost like hypnosis in a way, like good night.
Legit. He's speaking facts, Bat Dan. I don't know if you tried
3-hour nap.
but
Yeah, and it will knock you out literally, and you will have a good night's sleep. You do. You sleep well with that movie.
But like I did mention, that's why the first part of the pilot episode, when you see him doing with the umbrella, with the waddle, right? I just immediately was just like, oh, I could tell the way he's going into the, flooded iceberg lounge. He was already carrying himself, right? And then he ultimately meets Alberto, right? And has that conflict. And then he does what he does, which shows him having his own agency. And then slowly throughout the series, you see how of a master manipulator, but opportunist once again, like he is as a young kid. You see that play out, and you finally, in my opinion, see him be the Penguin. You see him. And the one thing that I really liked about this that introduced it, because in my opinion, the Penguin was always raised like an aristocrat. Usually there's different versions, obviously, but I did love that he had a code of honor in a certain sense as a man of the people, because he grew up on the streets. He grew up in the slums, right? He grew up, not the aristocrat that I always thought that the Penguin was used to being, right? But you see how he comes from nothing, and that's why he aspires to become that version with the monocle, with the top hat, with, the suit, the tuxedo, and we get to see that in the final episode. So for me, I did love that, him having a bond with Vic, telling the story about the gangster Rex. I forget his last name, but we see what happens, and the mom almost gets him to, kill him and all that. So I did love that journey, right? It's very American. It's very rags to riches type of, build yourself up, pull yourself up. There ain't no good, there ain't no bad. There's just this survival. And I love that about the character. So props to the showrunners, because this version was the Penguin. In my opinion, I watched the Batman again, and I forgave a lot of the Penguin in that because I saw what he was going to be. And I liked him so much more in that scene with Gordon and Batman. I was like, yeah, Penguin, tell him. Speak Spanish. Yeah, you go, Oz. So Penguin's the hero in the Batman for me, but Sophia's the hero in this show. in my opinion, like Zod said.
Absolutely. And the thing with and kind of what you were saying, Zod, it's not the Penguin necessarily didn't care about Sophia or didn't care about Vic. It's more of he cares about them to a point. He cares about them, but he has no problem sacrificing them if they get in his way. Like Sophia, I don't think Penguin had any problems working with Sophia to get to his goal. But the instant that she found out that he killed his brother or killed her brother, and she wanted to kill him, Sophia was no longer of use to Penguin, and would get in his way and was an adversary, so Penguin had no problem sacrificing her. Vic, I firmly believe if Vic did not call Penguin family, did not say Oscob that you're my family, Vic would have been alive. But here's the thing with Oscob, just showing how brutal he is. Okay, fine. He killed Vic because he didn't want Vic to get in his way. But the thing is, too, he did it so brutally. Not just the fact that he killed him, but he took his wallet, took money. Obviously, doesn't need the money anymore. But his ID, he threw his ID in the river. So now Vic cannot be identified anymore. So that's how brutal he was. Is like just showing how brutal he really is that he went the extra mile. I mean, in some ways, you could have just told Vic, hey, leave Gotham and never come back.
Well, I want to say he did give Vic that opportunity, because
Absolutely.
I believe he saw he saw that potentiality that he might at some point have to kill Victor. So he gave him that opportunity in the episode where Victor was questioning whether or not he should go with his girlfriend and leave, or he should stay and help the Penguin build his new drug empire. The thing is, had he left and decided he wasn't going to stay with the Penguin, and had he chose his girlfriend instead of the Penguin, he'd still be alive. I believe Oz would have let him go, because
He did.
he did let him go, and then but see, he chose to come back, and it was at that moment where Vic made Oz, where Oz became family to Vic. It was after that conversation that they had, and he left, and then he ended up coming back to save Oz. That's when Oz became family for Vic, when Vic chose Oz over his girlfriend.
Exactly. Exactly. And it just, but again, it's what I like about the Penguin. It's like, again, you feel his motivation. You think Vic is his family. He has people he cares about. He has people he's fighting for. He wants to be like the power, the whole situation with getting power for Crown Point. Like, you felt like you saw like quote unquote selfless motivations for the Penguin. So in some ways you do, that's why I say you kind of root for him. But at the very end, you're reminded he's a villain. At the end of the day, this guy is still a villain. And that's what I loved about his character, is that, we'll kind of talk about this with Sophia, but really, in some ways, the reason you root for him in some ways, though, is because he's called the Penguin. It's because the series is called The Penguin. But you do see those aspects of it. But we'll save that for Sophia. We have a lot more to get through. But yes, I wish you did get on that bus. And before we get to Sophia, I'm actually going to want to talk about Frances, just this character in general. Frances, Penguin's mom. And hold on, let me just space that out. Little OCD right there. Okay. Frances Cobb, Penguin's mom. So, Josh, what's your thoughts on this character?
The second best character behind Sophia, in my opinion. I mean, Colin Farrell's amazing, don't get me wrong, but I really just enjoyed this performance. It was somebody that I wasn't really looking forward to before the show, right? I had known, because I was at the Comic-Con panel in San Diego, that she was going to be part of it. But she just stole every scene, in my opinion, that she's in. When even that first time you see her, she's going through her delusions, but then she's like, look at me. She gets in Oz's face and she's like, are you going to be a man? Are you going to be a man? And she like pumps him up basically and motivates him to do her will, right? You got to get me out of here. I'm just waiting for you to get me out of here. And so she is he kind of, in a way, because she knows what he's done, but he kind of learns from his mom too, right? This behavior at the same time. Like, she's doing it to him. She knows she does know that she has control over him.
Oh yeah, there's manipulation on both sides going on here.
Yeah.
But she knows the whole time, because in that remember in that conversation with Rex was telling her, you can use that. You can use what he has to get what you want. He can be used, and he'll listen to you because he's guided by you, and your love and your attention is all that he's about. So you can use that to your advantage. Yeah.
And then that scene where she's talking to, I think it's episode 5, I think, the one that inspired me to watch the Batman, where she's talking about, I don't want to be a vegetable. I was actually, my mom just happened to be visiting and watched that episode. She didn't see any of the other series, but she saw that episode, and it was really close to home because I have some stuff in my personal life coming up. So it was very shocking, I think, as a outsider that looking at the show. Wait, that's Penguin's mom, and the real life relationship that she had. She felt like a real person, in my opinion, in a messed up world like Gotham that this is. And you see why Oz is kind of the way he is, because the external factors, the ailments that he grew up with. I love that you see the foot, right? You see why he has the waddle. and you know why the mom puffs him up to be a big strong, you're my big strong man, aren't you? You know, like you see that toxic bond that they both have. And y'all know what's on my shoulder, so I just kind of like find it fascinating that this is the origin of this villain, right? And it comes from kind of the mom's influence in a certain sense. So the actress, I don't know her name, but amazing job. Even when she's captured by Sophia, she's in control. She's never a damsel, in my opinion. She's just like, I was kind of scared. You at the end of that one episode when you see Sophia, you know, in the apartment, you're like, oh, but then the next episode you see her, and I don't think she's not. I ain't scared of you. You know, she's a boss. So I really enjoyed the performance.
But she was also suffering from Alzheimer's, which is another underlining element of her character that added to the layers of everything that was going on. I mean, my God, talk about fantastic acting.
Yes.
I don't think it was technically Alzheimer's. It was Parkinson's and Lewy body dementia. I don't know if that's considered a form of Alzheimer's, but it's all, to be honest, it all kind of gets jumbled. But yeah, exactly. But your point, Zod, still the same. Is it shows that she's able to go from this badass to this person suffering from dementia. And Josh, to answer your question, her name is Deirdre O'Connell. Deirdre O'Connell. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. I'm sorry.
One of my favorite performances in this series. She was amazing. Great performance. And yeah, all those delusions when she sees the sons, you know, dripping wet, you know, after she admits that she knew, and she freaking stabs her own son with a broken bottle. I was just like, oh my God, she's losing it. But great performance, and kind of shows you why Oz is the way he is.
So I'm just kind of getting the name on there, but I guess, Zod, any other thoughts on this character?
You know, again, I got to agree with Josh on this. I think she stole the show in all of her scenes, and I was glad she was there. I really loved that whole plot line. It was really, really well done, really well written, well acted. It was amazing.
And you know what's really interesting too is this character kind of slowly starts. You realize in some ways, deep down, she doesn't care about her son. She hates her son. You know, she's using her son to get something better, but at the end of the day, you know, she resents him for killing
her son. Her son was the best option that she had to get ahead and to get a better life, and that's what she saw. Again, it goes back to what Rex was telling her. It's not that she loved him, but she was his mother. So deep down, even though she hates him for what he did, I mean, and this might be a hot take, she still loves him too, because that is her son. She hates him because of what he did. But at the same time, you also have to realize that what he did was out of, you know, again, all that stuff with his brothers, everything that he did. These are elements, and he did it at a young enough age to where, yeah, she never forgot, but she knew that she could take advantage and use his ambitions, because she knew full well how he felt about her and how he was going to move the world to give her a better life. I mean, and that's a hell of a motivation. So
exactly. And the thing is, when she starts to hate Oz, at the end of the day, too, is when Sophia captured her, she's suffering from Parkinson, or Louis. I know Darth Plato has it down. Lewy body dementia.
Okay. There you go.
But the fact is, at the end of the day, though, she didn't really she was old. So her chance to really live that sweet lifestyle was over. Because, yeah, she's living it now, technically, but what's the point if you're a vegetable and you can't enjoy it? And she knew she was getting to that point. And also, keep in mind, Penguin was willing to let her finger get cut off. He was so in denial about the fact that he killed his brothers. When his own mom's life was on the line, her finger was on the line, he still was in denial. I was like, no, I didn't do it. What are you talking about? I didn't do it. And it just shows that, like, I think towards the end, the reason why she killed him was because she had nothing left. She had nothing to gain from him anymore. He's just the bastard who killed her other son. So, but yeah, I think she's a phenomenal actress, and I hope she's around in season 2 or the Batman Part 2, whatever continues with the Batman Epic Crime Saga, with the Batman stupid epic title. But anyways,
even if she comes out of the coma for one scene and then dies after that scene, give her something else. Don't have her go out like that. Give her one more thing.
Even if it's like a dream sequence or something too, like she's in his dream or something, just something to give the actress.
That could be. They could play on that. They could play on that Oedipus scenario and have a scene in there where he's with his girlfriend dressed as his mother, and they did it in the Sopranos a few times. You know what I'm talking about, Josh?
Yeah.
Where kind of I could see them doing that.
Well,
maybe.
yeah, like in Penguin's, like, you know, when he's dancing with his girlfriend, you're basically saying that she's gonna, like, in Penguin's mind, it will be his mom, and like the actress Deidre O'Connell or whatever.
Deidre O'Connell
will essentially be playing the girlfriend in Penguin's imagination, essentially. So yeah, that could work. So now we're going to get to the true main character of this series, Sofia Gigante / Falcone. And I'll say this right now: if this series was not titled The Penguin, she would be the one that we'd all be rooting for. I mean, some people were rooting for her, and honestly, after the series, I'm rooting for her to come out on top, because really think about it. How much of a villain was she in this series? Because, I mean, at first, the only people she really killed were the Falcones, but let's be honest.
Well, she was a victim. She was a victim from the beginning, and so see, the victims often become the best villains. So,
yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, she killed her family, but as you said, she was a victim. Her family threw her under the bus. They let her rot in jail. They helped her, or not, in the asylum in Arkham for 10 years. They helped her get there. But the key thing, when she's getting revenge on her family for doing what they did to her, she spares the kid. She spares the kid who did nothing wrong to her. She made sure that kid got out of the mansion before she let the gas out. And what up, Costello?
What's going on?
But yeah, but it just showed that she's not as much of a bad guy as it seems. I mean, towards the end, you know, she helped blow up the city, which killed innocent people, so she wasn't completely innocent towards the end, but she's definitely not this hardened criminal bad guy that we all saw. I mean, she was against those women getting killed by her father. I guess, Josh, what are your thoughts?
Sophia is bae. I went to a friend's dinner last night, and we brought up the Penguin, and everyone agrees Sophia is bae before anyone else. It's about Sophia. She's a great character. I mean, for me, honestly, I did not expect this backstory, because if you know The Long Halloween and you know the character of Sophia, she's a very minor part and nothing at all like what we got in the show. But I think it's, you know, there's a rare case of not following the source material and kind of giving a little bit of a different perspective.
depth.
Just like you said, she's got a great character arc, and the Arkham stuff, I did not expect to like it as much as I did. The Magpie Easter egg was really cool, in my opinion, and that episode barely had any Penguin in it. And
that Arkham stuff was better than all the Arkham stuff we got in the Joker 2 sequel. That's
preach. Like, she, you know, and just kind of like you're saying, when you see what she's going through with, you know, finding her own mother, the haunting of, like, you know, the hangman, and you know, her own father being there, and then blaming it on her when she has the guts to confront him, and then being shipped to Arkham and her whole family signing, you know, statements committing her. When you see her do what she does, just like Oz, she has a code, you know. She's like, this young innocent girl she's not part of the family. She didn't have anything to do with anything against me. So you're going to go and we're going to sleep out in the garden, you know, and then I'm going to do and you see her go through the house and, you know, like opening all the windows with the gas mask. I loved it. I know some people, I guess that kind of jumped the shark for them. and I do get the whole Gotham-esque, you know, parallels. I loved Gotham. I'll be honest. I know it was a hot mess. I know it was all over the place. I love that. I love that Penguin. Robin Lord Taylor, Colin Farrell gave him a shout out, even though he'd never watched Gotham. He was like, I know people love that character. And so he didn't want to watch any of what Robin Lord Taylor did. But in my opinion, there's a lot of like parallels, because that version, if you
mother,
Oh yeah, he was also obsessed with his mom.
And he's violent as fuck too. You underestimate him. He's a skinny, you know, slim version of it. Very akin to the Batman, the Telltale video game series, which I am watching a complete walkthrough of, and I'm loving so far. I'm on like the last episode, but that version of Penguin too, you see that there's
Son Havoc. Go on, Josh.
No, but Sophia and Oz, that their bond, right, makes you know that there is, I think you're right, Zod, that he does in a way kind of, I think he longs like for, in those flashbacks, a connection with her, right? The pretty girl, the boss's daughter. You know, maybe he thought at one time, maybe he could be with her, right? Maybe, but then things play out not in his favor and he does what he does. So I just loved her. I was really happy that she made it out. And I'll be honest with you, I will get into this. Unfortunately, I did love the old series. The finale didn't stick it for me. I told you, Bat Dan, I think I had my expectations way too high. However, the thing that I was just so excited about was the letter from her half-sister, Selena Kyle. And everything with, I know we'll talk about like the psychologist, like that was cool too, seeing how she knew that she had control over the Arkham.
You're talking about the would-be scarecrow.
Yeah, the would-be scarecrow. Like she had him right out, you know, around her finger. So it shows how women in this world of Gotham, they got to do what they got to do to survive. And sometimes they're, you know, female traits, they got to, you know, they got to do what they do for the men in Gotham City. So they know how to wrap men around their finger. And I love that she used her feminine, like there was so much femininity, right, with Sophia, but she was also a threat. She was not a pushover just because she was feminine. She was sexy and lethal as fuck at the same time. So I really loved that character. And I have been watching interviews with the actress just because I just loved her. She's a huge fan of Batman. So do your research on this this actress, Christina Miliani, I believe that's how you pronounce her name. And I can't wait to see more of her in the future. What about you, Zod?
Yeah, I think she is a wonderful character. I love that entire episode with her in Arkham, and that hardly had any Penguin in it. That was just her and her experiences. I said, see, we didn't get nothing like that in Joker 2. And it was just everything with her was just well done. Great character. And honestly, I hope it gets a season 2, because I think, you know, they could flesh out more of that. They could tell more of that story, because there's going to be a lot of things that Batman 2 is not going to be able to do. And we still don't know if Batman 2 is even going to happen. We still don't know, because, you know, you can't, you know, Matt Reeves is still trying to figure out a way to hack together a script. So, you know.
Yeah, well, let's just say, again, we'll get into this later, but I have an idea for what he should do for the Batman Part 2 in terms of writing that script. But
cancel it.
I got one better. Than that, and we'll get into that. But now,
Aguilar.
Okay. We'll start with you, Zod. What's your thoughts on this character?
I was surprised. I think he was like, again, the Robin character in the story. Again, all the stuff about birds. He was the Robin, okay, in this particular story. It was just turned upside down and twisted for this tale. You know, Batman's not killing his Robin unless it's Frank Miller's Batman. But this version of the Penguin is killing his little Robin. Vic was a good character. Started off, it was interesting to see, and from the get-go, they developed the relationship between Vic and Oz so great throughout this series. It just, I don't think it could have ended any other way. I think that the Penguin had to kill Victor to, for his arc, for Penguin's arc to be completed, for him to fully become the Penguin that we know him to be. Because up until that point, I mean, his relationship with Vic was just like, it's like father-son kind of a thing. Like, it was a mentoring relationship in such a way that it just, to me, I think it was one of the best aspects of the show. And one thing I want to touch on with Vic is the way that, when Vic was having that issue with the guy from the neighborhood who wanted in on the Penguins thing and didn't care and was kind of trying to bully his way in and trying to get Vic to kind of do that. I loved the way that whole dynamic was handled between Vic and the Penguin. Like, the Penguin didn't have to tell him anything. It was just basically like, can you handle that? You got that thing? Like, that was going to be Vic's ascension into becoming a villain himself, in a sense, where he actually had to kill someone. And now he is in that. Now he is officially part of that underworld with Oz. So to me, up until that point, he was just kind of. Isn't it funny how he kind of started off as like a sort of like a hostage or like a slave, so to speak?
Oh yeah.
And then it developed into where it developed to the point of the end of the episode, at the end of the finale, where he's telling them that they're family. I mean, my God. I mean, you talk about character development. I mean, and the fact that we as audience members all cared about Vic. But I swear to God, I was thinking it at the end when they were sitting there before it happened. I was thinking it. I'm like, Penguin's going to kill him. Penguin is going to kill him. When he didn't get killed by Sophia or any of the henchmen, because I thought it could go one of two ways. Either Victor was going to get killed by one of the henchmen or by Sophia to give Penguin a, kind of like a vengeance thing against Sophia, or Penguin was going to do it himself to descend darker into the villainous Penguin that we know him to be. So I don't feel like Vic was a wasted character. I don't think he was used correctly. And I agree with the actual actor who believed that Vic had to die at the hands of the Penguin for the sake of the story. And I truly believe that. And it's sad. And if, based off of like what you said about how he just took his ID and threw it into the river, and basically, it's like now he can't be identified even if his body gets found. It's sort of, and didn't he just leave his body there? He just left his body, he choked him to death and left him laying there. I read something somewhere where somebody was saying something that he's not dead. He's going to come back in and come back in the next season, and he's going to be Victor Zsasz.
No, that's just because his name's Victor doesn't mean.
Yeah, I don't buy that either. I don't believe that either. I think that's stupid. But yeah.
What about you, Josh? What's your thoughts?
Just kind of echoing Zod's sentiments. Great performance. I actually liked this actor, and he was in the Marvel series The Runaways, which is a show I actually really liked it. For people that probably didn't watch it, it's actually a really good show. And he looked so much different to me because in that he had glasses, and I'm like, oh, the Superman thing does work because I didn't recognize him at first, and I was like, why do I recognize him? And I was like, oh, he's in Runaways. But yeah, I got to see this actor at Comic-Con too, and hearing him speak about his relationship with Oz, I really didn't expect it to be, it was kind of like it wasn't really a father-son. It was more like an older brother, right? And so Oz basically being that to the brother, that he actually didn't have because he killed his own brothers. I did like that. It was a little bit of a cheap ripoff doing the Jason Todd thing. Now I don't feel like you can have Jason Todd in this epic crime saga, but let's be honest, probably not even going to get us Dick Grayson in this because I don't know.
And probably not even going to get a Batman 2. Let's be real here. I mean, come
Robert
on.
Pattinson is being, he's getting up there too as time goes by. So it's supposed to be a younger Batman, but yeah, the performance was great. I loved the flashback of when Vic is, selling in the club, and you see his perspective of the climax of the Batman movie, the flooding of it. Like, oh, it was so haunting seeing him watch his parents die, right? He didn't actually see them, but he sees his mom and dad in their windows, right? And you just see the flood and they're gone. They're done. And so it was so heartbreaking, right? And he's a good kid, but you see him learn the toxic behavior that he's seen Oz do and get away with. And therefore, he takes on the squid. His name was Squid or something. The bully.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So he confronts the bully. He was scared of.
Yeah,
right?
Squid. That's his name is literally Squid.
Squid. Yeah. And so I did like. Also, it had to happen, right? I agree with Zod. I didn't know the actor agreed with the decision, but I never thought, oh, this is going to be a character. This is going to be the Penguin's Robin. Like, we know what Penguin comes to be in the Iceberg Lounge. He's surrounded by gorgeous female assassins, fighters, right? And he's behind the desk with his cigar, with his monocle and his top hat, and controlling Gotham's underworld. So it wasn't shocking to me. That was just kind of like, okay. Let me get y'all's perspective real quick, though. Shout out to Brucifer and the Kingdom of Nerds. I was watching their review on Penguin. Apparently, I forget this because I fell asleep in the Batman. So the Hangman, right, was implied from the flashbacks to be Carmine, right? For the strangling. Yes. However, the whole ID thing, apparently Brucifer's panel was bringing up the fact that, the ID thing and throwing it in the river implies that actually the whole time Penguin might have been the Hangman killer. Did y'all catch that at all?
No, I didn't.
Because I fell asleep so I didn't really care. Right? I was like, oh, that's cool. But
that's a good little callback if it's true. Because that'd be a good twist, but I don't know how I feel about it.
The thing was, the reporter, Summer Gleason, shout out, they pulled from Batman the Animated Series, when she goes to Sophia, right? The Hangman killer always has hands, and we see Oz do like a chokehold, kind of. So I kind of was like, I don't know if that theory pans out, but
Josh, the thing is, if he was working for Falcone though, and maybe helped him, like maybe hide the body for some of the murders, he still might have picked up that character trait from Carmine Falcone. So it's not quite that, but I still like the direction of that. And just kind of my thoughts on Vic, just in general, I love his backstory. I love that he comes from this straight arrow family, like his family trying to make an honest living. And then you feel even more bad for him that his family, that his backstory, that he's trying to survive, his family's dead, and then he dies. It's just shit. And because Penguin gave him the chance to leave in episode 3, and as I firmly believe, Penguin would have let Vic live because Vic was a useful asset if he did not call him family. Vic killed himself when he called, like, not literally, but you know what I mean. He signed his own death warrant when he called Penguin family. That's what he did. And it's just, again, great actor. But what I like is that we were upset. We did like him. But that's what made the death so great. And it also served as a point. We hate the Penguin. I think what they were trying to get the showrunners to hate the Penguin at the end of the series because Penguin is a villain. He's not a good guy. He is a villain. And I think they did a really good job showing that with Vic's character. And honestly, I don't have anything to really add that you two didn't already say. Vic is an all-around great character. And now let's move on to Salvatore Maroni, played by Mr. Krabs. If you know, you know. And I'll say this, Zod, you were talking about, I think you were bringing that up with Penguin's luck. I'll tell you, I hated the way that Sal died. He just died by a random heart attack and Penguin killed him. I'm like, that's it? Penguin just got lucky? I don't know. That felt kind of cheap to me. Plus, he's the one who's supposed to turn Harvey Dent into Two-Face, so I didn't really like they killed him off for that reason, too. But, I don't know. Great actor. Really liked him. The character, at least. What about you, Zod?
Well, I mean, he didn't have a lot to work with, but I mean, he had more depth than anything we've seen in any of James Gunn's DC work. So I will say that I thought it was cool. Thought it was well done.
Wait, One Punch Dan is the secret villain? What? Zod, are you talking to Sin Havoc about certain things?
No.
Yeah, see, that's part of the point too, is that he survives being stabbed in prison. He overcomes the guard just to get, there's a Boba Fetted basically when a cool character dies by something stupid.
But it's a combination of all those things that caused his heart attack. I mean, think about everything that he'd gone through, that he'd had to endure up to that point. He wasn't able to have that kind of a fight. That was too much. That was too much for the old man. I mean, I was surprised he didn't have a heart attack sooner in the show.
I mean, that's a fair point. I guess that is a fair point. Is like when you're older,
because old men die of heart attacks. That happens. So as much as it seemed like it was just dumb luck of the Penguin, I mean, it's something that's conceivable that could actually have occurred.
And yeah, just to clarify, when I call him Mr. Krabs, Clancy Brown voices Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob, and also DC fans voices Lex Luthor in the DC animated universe.
Yes, sir.
So he's actually done a lot of DC work. He was also in The Flash season 1. He played General Eiling, I think.
He was also in the original Highlander, the Highlander being an upcoming Henry Cavill project. So yeah.
What about you, Josh? We're talking about Mr. Krabs right now. You're on mute still.
Sorry, my mom showed up, so I had to switch places, and I saw Darth Plato call me out for no penguin. So this is the only shirt
let me
that I have with penguin on it.
You up.
It's got Oz, Selena, Mr. J, and Edward Nigma, not Edward Nashton.
Well, actually, I don't think that was a Matt Reeves thing, though. I think he actually is Edward Nashton in the comics.
In his first appearance, he was at Nashton, and then it was changed. So, okay, Matt Reeves, get your points. Whatever. Nigma better than Nashton. But Sal Maroni, Mr. Krabs, great character. He was at Comic-Con as well. And I love that actor, of course. Like you cited him in Smallville. I love when he comes out. He's Lex Luthor. But yeah, he was kind of like he was Clancy Brown, and I saw some people kind of like criticize that about him. But I don't mind. I didn't mind it too much. It's very interesting because now who's going to make Harvey Dent Two-Face? But I guess we're probably not even going to get there. If we're not going to get Robin, we're probably not going to get Harvey Dent. So he's been done already enough. So shout out to Mr. Krabs. Rest in peace.
Well said, Josh. Well said. And now Carmine Falcone, and then also the recast of this character. And for those of you who don't know, the actor who played him in the Batman says the reason he didn't want to do it was because he didn't want to do something that's about violence towards women. That was his excuse. Violence towards women. No, never mind that he's playing an actor and bad guys do bad guy things, and that he also literally choked his daughter in the movie on screen. but he didn't want to do.
Yeah, he's a bit of a hypocrite.
This is why he really didn't do it, I'm sure. Sure, this is the real reason he didn't do it. But I will say, as much as I hate recasts because I've messed with continuity, I think they did a good job of making Mark Strong look like a young version of the guy who played him in the Batman.
He was played by Tortillo, right? What was his name? Tortillo?
John Turturro.
John Turturro. Yeah. So
okay, Josh, go get your umbrella. But yeah, I mean, well, yeah, maybe they should. But
recast it, Hayden, Danger Hayden.
Yeah, well, he should have been. Who I think could have played him really well. Hayden Christensen.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. He needs another role right now. People know him too much as whiny Anakin, although he might have been too old for Matt Reeves. But who am I kidding? Robert Pattinson's becoming too old as it is.
Yeah, I mean, Robert Pattinson's going to be what? Ben Affleck's age by the time they do the next Batman movie.
But he's only year 2, Zod.
Well, that's why, I mean, there was a rumor that they were going to film the Batman Part 2 and 3 back to back. I mean, honestly, that would have been a smart move if Matt Reeves had those scripts written, but
right, he can't crack the script, so that's why I'm saying I don't even expect it. I don't expect it to happen, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well,
if anything, they could just finish up the story on TV.
Well, I have some ideas with that, actually, and there's one. But anyway, just with this character in general, Mark Strong did a great job with this character, showed a great backstory. Josh, what are your thoughts on this character?
I agree. I think it was an upgrade, actually. It threw me off at first, and then I was just kind of like, because I went through episode 5, so I think I had already got to the flashback, right? And then, so watching, he was good as Carmine, but I think Mark Strong just really portrayed the Roman, if you know the Long Halloween, right? And you know the comics and the character,
right?
He was more so embodied, right? And so that's another thing I think this series just did better. It did Carmine Falcone, the Roman.
It did everything better. That's what I'm saying. Better everything. Better writing, better acting, better character development, better plot in general. Easier to watch. It doesn't put you to sleep. I mean, everything. I mean, like, Matt Reeves should be fired based on how successful this show is.
Yeah.
Because he had nothing to do. He had nothing to do with it. And they basically took his stuff and actually made it into something. And all he would end up doing is screwing it up if he goes back and makes another emo Batman movie.
Wrong channel, Darth Plato. You're thinking about our friends Trey and Corey.
Shout out to the Bat channel.
Yeah, shout out to the Bat channel. But yeah, Zod, I like what you said. I like exactly what you said, and hold on to that thought. But any thoughts on Falcone's, other thoughts on Falcone's character?
No, I agree. I think I agree with Josh. He was an upgrade to John Turturro. I've never been a big John Turturro fan, to be honest with you, and so it didn't faze me at all. Of course, I hated the Batman movie, so any recasting is fine. I mean, whatever.
Fair enough. And now let's get into the Scarecrow, which I actually put the link to Aaron Fisher's latest video in the chat, or in the description, because he covers those rumors and talks about it. But apparently, the guy who was also in Army of the Dead, the sexual pervert that gets killed, sacrificed to the zombie, and also Shades and Luke Cage. But I don't know. I could have, it's not technically too late to make him Jonathan Crane. I mean, they could just change his name or something, whatever. I mean, they could just say, oh, yeah, we didn't call him Dr. Jonathan Crane because we wanted to surprise people, yada, yada, yada. I mean,
Dr. Julian Crane.
Yeah, Julian, maybe his name is like Julian Crane Rush or something, or I don't know, Julian Jonathan Rush, or and like his mother's maiden name is Crane and he's going, I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah, all that could be true. But I think the rumor, well, yeah, the rumor that Aaron had covered was that, yeah, he was supposed to be Jonathan Crane, and then they changed it at the last minute, I guess.
Because they still have like the background of episode, I think it was episode 4 with the Scarecrow mask. You can kind of see in the background, I guess. So, I mean, interesting if true, but I guess just other than him being the Scarecrow, Josh, what's your thoughts on this character?
He was fine. Like I said, I liked to see him more at the bend to the will of Sophia, right? The technique of him using the hypnosis with the red light with Sophia and also with Francis was interesting. It would make sense to me. I didn't know this about I guess he was supposed to be Scarecrow. I started seeing some people talk about it on Twitter, but I didn't. I'm just kind of like, nah, you don't really need that. In my opinion, just have this guy be one of the crazies that's running Arkham. I like that actor, and I just think Zack Snyder used him so much better, obviously. But he was cool. He was like, I kind of expected him to play a bigger role in the story. So it would make sense to me if he started off to be Jonathan Crane and then they changed it halfway through. That would make more sense to me because it seemed like he didn't really amount to much, in my opinion. But, he was also the one to give the letter to Sophia about the Catwoman. So who knows? Maybe he might find a way to get her to have that connection with Selena somehow. So we might see him again. Who knows?
Oh, I think we will. And we're in Sin Havoc, just before we move on to Zodwriter, what is he? Is he like Dr. Thomas Crane, Dr. Jonathan Elliott? I mean, are they gonna go that far? It's like, oh, his name is Julian Thomas Elliott, but his mom's maiden name was Crane, and he's gonna change his name to Jonathan. Are you gonna? Okay, that's way too much effort. Zodwriter, you go.
Yeah. There's not much to say about him. He's really just a one-dimensional creep. He just kind of is. He's there to be a boy toy for Sophia. That's all.
And the thing is, he started off like potentially interesting when he was like, I'm here to help you, Sophia. That's my only agenda. I thought, oh, maybe he legitimately cares about Sophia, and I thought that, but then yeah, he was, as you said, he's just a boy toy for Sophia. That's all he did. I mean, like, Sophia's in the middle of important work, and he has like this guy like in a very sexual position. Like, I think he was like saying, "Let yourself out," even, but he was like, still, it's like you're really like fucking this guy in the middle of work, like Jesus. And yeah, well. So hold on to that, Sin Havoc. Hold on to that. But yeah, not a lot to say about him. But now, Gotham City atmosphere. I think they did a good job with the Gotham atmosphere. That dark grittiness of Gotham. I think they captured really well. Zodwriter, what are your thoughts?
It was done way, way, way better than what Matt Reeves did in the Batman. I think they did a much more serviceable job conveying Gotham, making Gotham a character. It felt like Gotham City. It was really good. Like I comparing it to the Batman, which is what we have to do. It's night and day. This Lauren LaFrock needs to be promoted. They need to let her, if they do a Batman 2, they need to let her direct it because honestly, Matt Reeves is clueless as to what he's doing. I'm yeah. The Penguin is better than it has any right to be, and that's partly too because of the way Gotham is depicted in this show. I love the focus on I just love the focus solely on the criminal element. That was pretty awesome.
I agree. And I will say, Darth Plato, I think Batman Begins, honestly. I do think the Snyderverse had a potential to be there, but we didn't see enough of it for me to really put it there. So I'm going to say Batman Begins. But if we get that Batflick movie, I think that will be outdone. But anyway, Josh, what's your thoughts on Gotham in this series?
No, I thought like agree with Zod. Like they did a good job basically honoring, because that is one thing I'll give credit where credit's due. I did like the atmosphere in the Batman movie, of more than anything else. But like Zod said, they did it better. Once again, we're seeing more. We're seeing the underground. We're seeing,
for a lot less money too.
yeah, and we're seeing the trenches, right? We're seeing the neighborhoods that were flooded at the climax, right? We're seeing Crown Point. We're seeing the Falcone.
Oh, what about how it looked when that bomb went off?
Yeah, that was
when that car bomb went off and the whole underground. I mean, that was crazy.
But that did make me like the entire series, and we're watching the Batman Zod. I was just like, this is it. This is it. Like fans, the people that I know that are fans of the Batman movie, I was like, if Batman does not show up by the end of this series, and I get the black signal, but I'm just like, he's an incompetent Batman. I don't care. Like it just, Gotham is burning, and I don't know if you guys have seen the memes of Robert Pattinson.
And Robert Pattinson is buckling up his boots.
I love seeing the world, and it's just funny that there's just no presence of Batman. I get it's a week after, maybe he's not in Gotham anymore. After rewatching the movie, I was like, oh, maybe I had the thought, because we see Catwoman going to Bloodhaven. I was like, maybe he does leave too. I thought he was going back to Gotham, but maybe he leaves too.
Well, that's the case. That's even worse.
I kind of wish. See, I kind of wish that movie would have been a one-off, and he would have just went off with Catwoman and they could have found a little farm, and they could have been, just farming and fornicating and making little children and being, happy, and give him a happy ending, and then do this Penguin series as like a coda to show what happened to Gotham once Batman left. Well, Batman was incompetent. He wasn't a factor anyway. So really, you don't need. The thing is, this proves that you don't need Batman. This version of Gotham doesn't need Batman.
Yeah.
You could make 5-6 seasons of the Penguin, and Batman would never have to show up, because Batman is insignificant at this point.
Bring in Black Mask, bring in, the other crime bosses in Gotham. Yeah, I agree.
Rupert Thorne, Ronald Daggett.
They would bring in Matt Reeves Joker and somehow make him a good character. That showrunner knows what the hell she's doing. I say let her do it, and Matt Reeves can just sit back and
get producer credit.
They'll give Matt Reeves producer credit, and Matt Reeves will of course get credit for being the guy that made the Batman movie, whatever that means, I guess.
Well, hold on to some of those thoughts, because we'll get to that. But the finale, Josh, I want to start with you, because you're the one who really didn't like the finale. What's your thoughts?
I didn't hate it. I think I really had, because I thought the show was so good. I was expecting more, is what I told you. I think I told you that, Bat Dan, maybe not. But I get that Oz is kind of an opportunist, right? And he does things go in his favor. But there was just a lot of things, like when he's tied up in the chair with his mom after getting stabbed, right? So she breaks the bottle, he got stabbed, and then he's able to get out of his chair, hoist his mother over his shoulder, start firing while having a waddle. I was just kind of like, come on. And I really did. I was like, come on. It felt to me, honestly, like there had to been behind the scenes, tampering, like people are saying in the chat. Because I just feel like, I told some people, I feel like they maybe just ran out of money, or they could not do what they wanted to do with this finale. It just all kind of wrapped up in a way where it did make sense to me. I was fine with it. I just had the bottle for Gotham, I guess. I expected more. I was glad Sophia made it out okay. But yeah, that part, really just how he got out of that whole situation, I was just like, what? I just had a little bit of a letdown disappointment, honestly. However, just like Skywalker, shout out to Skywalker the Jedi, and a lot of people, I think they were pleased with the Batman, but we're pleased what would come next. Like that sentiment, I would be pleased to see what happens next. Now seeing Penguin have become, this version of the character, with the top hat. And I did miss the umbrella. I don't think he had the umbrella, although it was snowing. So I guess he didn't need it in the snow, but I want the monocle. I was a little disappointed not getting the monocle, but I guess maybe that could be for season 2. But yeah, I think everything, like I said, naturally played out. Vic needed to die for the Penguin's character to become what he needed to be. I'm glad Sophia's around, and I want to see her meet her sister, Selena Kyle.
If this show doesn't get a season 2, but we get another season of that goddamn Pissmaker show, it's like at this point, what are they trying to do? They finally have a hit on their hands. This needs to be, they need to milk this and allow this to continue because there's definitely more story to tell. I swear they need to just get rid of, and I agree with you, Josh, about this finale. I think there were bigger plans, and that's the reason why the finale feels kind of lackluster, because they didn't have the money to do what they wanted to do at the end. And I believe that the plan was to have Robert Pattinson come in for a scene or two. They probably just couldn't get him because of scheduling conflicts, or maybe he didn't want to work out, or he was too skinny, or whatever the excuse might be. But all I can say is that I think that, for a finale with no money, they did pretty good. They didn't have no money, so they just made it more character driven.
Yeah.
Than action driven. Yeah.
I mean, the thing with what you said with Robert Pattinson, the Batman, and that's where I was saying we needed the Batman in it, but what they could have done is they could have just had the Batmobile show up and then Penguin getting out of there real quickly because they just wanted to deal with Batman, and I'm not going to try to do a Henry Cavill Shazam cameo work off. So I'm just going to say, just have the Batmobile show up, Penguin gets out of there, he hightails it out of there.
No, but see, they did it even cheaper. They didn't even need to put a guy in the Batmobile. They didn't even need to show the Batmobile. They just showed the bat signal. They went the cheapest route they could possibly go, Bat Dad. That's how you know it was about money, because they didn't do anything.
My problem with that, though, at least for the connection with the bomb, is it's too late. The bomb already went off, and something else maybe happened. But for Batman,
isn't that true? Isn't that truthful about? Isn't that
what?
Isn't that true to what they normally do? Isn't that true to how this whole Matt Reeves universe is? It's almost like the finale was staying true to the fact that, we're in the Matt Reeves verse, so we've got to do something half-assed like what Matt Reeves does. So we'll just show the bat signal at the end. That's very half-assed, very unsatisfying, and we'll just do that because we've got to do something to connect our brilliant series to this NyQuil substitute. We cannot get away from it. We've got to pay tribute to Matt Reeves' mediocrity somehow. So what we're going to do is we're just going to show the bat symbol at the end, and that way signal, and that way we won't have they can forever tie it to that shit. Now, if it were me, I wouldn't have done it. I would have ended the series on a shot with the Penguin in the umbrella, and he would have had the monocle. It would have been full. He would have been full Penguin. The last shot would have been of him, and there wouldn't have been any references or mentions to the Batman. Just in case they don't do anything else with the Batman movie series, right? And then this show can continue on, and they can bring their own Batman into the show if they want to, and have it be completely different from Matt Reeves' Batman.
Yeah, and that's a fair point, because this Penguin series is a lot better than the Batman. And I agree. The finale definitely, I like where they were going with it, but some of how they got there felt a little clunky at certain points. Just certain things happened too fast. All of a sudden, all these other mobsters just dying all of a sudden felt a little rushed. It just felt like, okay, we got to check some of these boxes off real quickly. But I like some of what they set up at the end with. I like that but also too, why is Penguin letting Sophia live? Like, no, I get that she needed to go to jail, but after that, though, the doctor and Sophia, they know about Penguin's backstory.
He needed her to live because he needs to have a nemesis to be the king of Gotham. In order for him to be the top dog, he needs somebody to go toe to toe with. And she has to be that. It's like the yin and the yang. You got to have somebody to push back. At that point, he rules. He got rid of everybody. He knows she's going to get out because she's far too smart and crafty to just sit in Arkham and languish. She's going to get out. She's going to escape, and she's going to be his pushback, his counter, and that's what he needs. Every good villain needs somebody to go up against, needs a hero or an anti-hero, and she is his. That's why he let her live. It wasn't because he's like, oh yeah, you're great, you're awesome, you can live. No, he needs that challenge.
Okay, that's fair. I'll give you that.
It's like Joker and Batman. They need each other, right? Joker needs the Batman because that's the Joker's whole thing. He needs that. You need that back and forth. So, yeah, you complete me. Yeah, that right there. Yeah.
I mean, and yeah, that even Rush even still had his job in the last scene.
Yeah, he was just a one-dimensional. If anything, Rush was kind of like the Matt Reeves character of the show. Because out of all the characters in the show, his was like the least important. Like he could have been Jonathan Crane. He could have been somebody impactful, but instead they just made him some creepy, demented pervert that just wanted to spend some quality time with Sophia. That's it. That's all he wanted. And I mean, because even what Michael Kelly's character in the movie, right? He, when she shot him, I was a little bit surprised. I thought somehow he was gonna live throughout the whole thing somehow because she kept him alive long enough.
Yeah, she made an example out of him.
But I did like the way she did. She made an example out of him, though. It was just kind of like, okay, yeah, you're out of here. But yeah. But this finale, they didn't have enough money, Bat Dan. That's all it was. This was money thing.
Yeah, which is sad, even though there probably should have been more money put in this series than other.
But now, if they cancel the Batman, they can allocate more money to the Penguin series.
Or maybe if they cancel certain other projects too in DC.
Right. Maybe if Superman becomes a tax write-off,
which
and then we get the Snyder, and then we get more of the Snyderverse, and then we kind of, part of me kind of wishes that they wouldn't have shown that damn Robert Pattinson bat signal at the end. And then they could have somehow folded the Penguin into the Snyderverse. I'd have been okay with it. I'd have been like, you know what? Yeah, why not?
You would have had to take out the flood references too. Because actually, I'm going to jump to this topic right now since you're mentioning it. Is because you had the flood stuff too, and then you had the mayor in the last episode, and then Riddler, they mentioned the Riddler's actions. But it's funny because it doesn't really connect that much to Robert Pattinson's The Batman.
It doesn't at all. You could put anybody in that suit. You could make Ben Affleck be Batman. It wouldn't matter. It doesn't mean that those events didn't happen. It just means that this is a different reality from the Robert Pattinson. It was different enough. Yeah. Like what we learned in The Flash, right? It's like spaghetti, right? Spaghettiverse.
Or, maybe they'll pull a Peacemaker where season 1's not completely canon to season 2. Like most of season 1's canon to season 2, just not the events that connect to Robert Pattinson's The Batman. Just like Peacemaker, how it's like, oh, most of it's canon, just not that Flash Aquaman cameo.
Right.
But I mean, that's what's funny, because I think it was like Aaron Fisher, how he gave like the Penguin a different rating as a series connected to the Batman, because I am torn on it, because to me it's like, as much as I don't like the Batman movie, the reality is its assignment was to connect to that universe, and it doesn't so much. So I'm torn on it, especially because it's like, we should have seen the bat signal more. Maybe the Batmobile drive by every so often, or criminals talking about Batman.
But we also have to remember the amount of time this takes place. What, a week, maybe 2 weeks after that movie? I mean, think about where Batman was at the end of the movie, the end of that sleep aid. At the end of that sleep aid, while we were all sleeping, I really have a hard time reconciling anything from Robert Pattinson's Batman with this TV show. It was that different. There's even the characterization of the Penguin is very, very different.
Yep.
Yeah.
Between what we get, he's not the same character. He really isn't. He maybe looks similar, but he's not really the same character. He doesn't even talk the same. The amount of swearing and adult themed stuff we saw in this show was nowhere to be seen in Robert Pattinson's Batman movie. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they should retcon any connections to that and just carry on, and then they could bring in their own Batman later on. They don't need Robert Pattinson. They can get an unknown to come in and play Batman or they can have Ben Affleck come back as Batman. It doesn't matter. The reality is that this is its own. I think it would be best for the Penguin to stand on its own. I hate this. I hate all this Batman 2 talk. They need to just, you know what? They need to let it go. They need to move on. All right. They need to move on. Let that Batman 2 flush it down the toilet and give Penguin like 7 seasons like The Sopranos. I mean, and you can cover a lot of ground in 7 seasons. You're gonna have Batman. Believe me, Batman will show up if Penguin goes for 7 seasons.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And Josh, what about you? What are your thoughts on this connection?
Just echoing Zod, like I didn't care by the end of it, because I was just like, because Batman, we know we're Batman fans, right? So we know what Batman should do. And as that didn't happen, as Gotham's burning, I was just like, I don't care anymore. I want Oz to be the kingpin of Gotham. I want him to just, destroy everyone and be on top, because he's such a more compelling character than anything I saw in the Batman movie. So, I kind of like, even though in the Batman, I like seeing Oz be the hero in that scene with Gordon and
Josh, I gotta ask you, man. I gotta ask you. I understand Batman not being in there, okay? But we saw enough of Gotham Police. Where the hell was Gordon?
True.
Where was Gordon? Where was Mr. HBO Gordon from that Westworld TV show on HBO? What's the excuse of them not having him in this show?
Sin Havoc?
We'll probably get Gordon
Josh.
before. Yeah, no, we'll probably get Gordon before we get Pattinson, which is fine. I don't miss the Batman. I understand why Batman fans would want him, but I don't care. I really don't care. I don't care.
The fact that Gordon was too expensive. Yeah. F that guy. For real. That's another problem I have with these Robert Pattinson Batman actors. That's another problem, right? But it's the same reason, we probably weren't going to get, that's probably the reason why we got the letter from Catwoman instead of Catwoman showing up at the damn insane asylum like she was probably supposed to in the original script. She was probably supposed to show up. That was probably supposed to be the scene in the movie, right? In the TV show, she was supposed to show up and visit Falcone. You know what? I don't. Whatever. If they think
get it.
they think they're cinematic actors, I don't get it either. They're all just they were in a subpar, mediocre, drama-filled, hack-made iteration of Batman, and they should have been tripping all over themselves to be a part of this show, because this show was so much better than what they were a part of.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And before we wrap up on this show, any other thoughts you want to give?
I just kind of accept that, like, kind of what I say. I know it might have sounded stupid that I was like, okay, Batman has to show up, but I'm glad he didn't. Is just because in this, as I've seen the show play out, I like the character of Oz, as despicable and as gross and as evil and manipulative as he is. He's, you know, we love these villains, right? These are the original gangsters. This is Batman's Rogues Gallery, the best Rogues Gallery in comic books, in my personal opinion. So I just think in this multiverse, this is just an incompetent Batman, and I want the villains of Gotham to inherit Gotham City. That's all there is to it.
No, it would be kind of cool to have like Penguin kill Batman.
Yeah, in this reality, Penguin. He
Penguin
drives the
could
car.
kill.
I got you. I got you.
I mean, he knows more foreign languages than Batman does.
Hey, you're right.
Remember, Batman didn't even know Spanish.
El Rata.
What about you, Zod? Any other thoughts on this series?
Batman was a dummy, and this movie made Batman look even more dumb. Because when you literally have people asking, when they watch this TV show, asking, well, where the hell's Batman? And then you have people like us where it doesn't matter because we hated Batman anyway, so we didn't want to see him, and we were glad he wasn't there. This just underscores our point when we said that the Batman movie was crap. That's all this TV show did more than anything else, guys. You realize this movie validated us. Yeah. This movie validated us. This TV show validated us more than it did the Robert Pattinson fans. This validates us because this was superior, 100%. This feels like this is a show I would be willing to watch for multiple seasons. This is a show that I feel like it's got compelling enough characters. It's got a good thing. It doesn't have to be expensive. They can bring in other actors to play characters. You know, again, like we talked about, we didn't have a problem with the recasting, you know. So ultimately, you know, I don't know why they don't just do that. I don't know why they don't just tell Matt Reeves to pack up his office and get the hell out and just continue on with this. This is a much better storyline. And you can flesh it out, and you can have Gotham City, you can have Batman, you can have the other Rogues Gallery characters appear. Yeah. So I don't get the problem. I feel like this sets up a path, especially with how popular it is. I don't see why they wouldn't do that. But again, this is Warner Brothers we're talking about, and we're talking about DC Studios, in which the name DC Studios is unfortunately attached to this project. So that means that, the narcissistic former head of KFC is going to continue running the show. So we just have to wait and see what he's going to do. I don't know.
And I don't have this as a topic, but did you notice how when he promoted the finale for the Penguin, he just had to promote his other shows too? He just had to promote Creature Commandos and Peacemaker.
Oh yeah, because you know why? Because there's literally no hype for any of that shit. Mm-hmm. So by he's trying to live vicariously through the success of the Penguin, even though he knows that if Lauren would have put in any of his notes for the Penguin, it would have made it dog shit like the rest of the stuff that he's doing. So we can be thankful that he didn't have any control here.
Yeah, exactly. And just overall, just phenomenal series and much better than the Batman. And I'm honestly going to give it, and I'm maybe being generous, and maybe just because how much I hate the Batman, I'm going to give it a 9.3412698 and 982 out of 10. We'll go with Josh next. What are your final thoughts, and what would you rate this series as?
I think I have not really given Colin. I do love Colin Farrell as an actor, right? And when I knew that he was the, bridesmaid runner-up, to Jonah Hill, because if you don't remember, Jonah Hill was actually going to be paid way more than Robert Pattinson and offered. And I think they actually lowballed Colin possibly when Jonah Hill turned it down. I was really shocked, right? And watching the Batman Telltale series right now, that's phenomenal. I'm kind of like, why couldn't they just have had a skinny penguin? But seeing this series and seeing Colin kind of live in the character and be a better version, like Zod was saying, I gotta give credit where credit's due. I will say, in my personal opinion, TV overall has just not been good this year. Movies have not been good this year. So it's a low bar. But when you have something like this that's so well crafted compared to the movie that spawned it, I got to give credit where credit's due. I didn't really have a problem. I know some people, I did hesitate supporting this because the DC Studios logo was on it. I just think that my opinion was just the musical choices, right? I know some people were thrown off in episode 1, the Dolly Parton. It didn't bother me too much. So I will give it I'm going between a 7.5, but I'll go ahead and give it an 8. I'll Sofia Gigante Falcon.
Okay, fair enough. And yeah, I agree. This is probably one of the best shows we've gotten all year, and that's not a high bar. What about you, Zodwriter?
I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10 as well, because I feel like it is, when they do something right, they should be rewarded for it, and they should be told that they did something right. It's something like this should be supported. So I don't, we've got to call a spade here, and this was good. What could we do? This was a good show. I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to hate it. I was hoping when I watched the first episode that it was complete dog crap, and I was gonna be able to walk away from it and never watch it. Instead, I was compelled to watch it from week to week. So I have to give credit where credit is due. I never thought in a million years I'd be giving something connected to that mediocre, crappy Matt Reeves movie an 8 out of 10, but here we are. Unbelievable.
And it just brings the question: what does this mean for the Batman Epic Crime Saga? And Zodwriter, you kind of said this already, but that's what I'm going to say. I don't think they should cancel the Batman 2 after seeing this series. What I think they should do instead is have Lauren LeFranc write and direct the Batman Part 2. Just have her come on and have her take over. Matt Reeves get his producer points, get his producer money, and let her take over. Because she showed way more potential for this universe than Matt Reeves did. But the problem is...
But if they're going to do that, they might as well just keep it as TV.
Yeah, but they make more money with
movies. Why back her into a corner and make her do her long form story as a movie? I mean, just
whatever, put it like this: give her the reins and let her decide what it should be, what she can tell a story the best as.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I agree, 100%.
Okay, any other thoughts before we move on to Josh?
Nope.
What about you, Josh? What do you think this means for the Batman Epic Crime Saga?
I mean, like, for the Epic Crime Saga, I do feel like this is all posturing. This is just trying to bait, these fans who are fans. I know there's fans in this community that like the Batman movie. God bless you. I hope you get your sequel. If if you really want it, I hope you get it. I don't think you're gonna get it.
You don't deserve it. You should never get it.
Hey, we know we had to get Ben Affleck's Batman script was sacrificed, so you get what you fucking deserve.
Well said, Josh. I would say this: if we don't get the Batman Part 2, I hope it's because Matt Reeves fails, not because James Gunn stopped it from happening. That's the one thing I don't want to happen. I don't want this universe to be canceled because of James Gunn.
Apparently that Superman show is so damn good. More people are cursing James Gunn because the truth came out that it's all because of James Gunn that they're getting rid of that. So if Penguin doesn't get a season 2 and Matt Reeves doesn't get a Batman 2, it's probably most likely going to be because of James Gunn.
And he's going to alienate more section of the DC fandom. But Zod, there's also another, and Josh, there's another reason I'm worried about the Batman Part 2. I don't know if you saw this comment, but apparently Matt Reeves is like, Batman's going to blame himself for the flood, and he's going to have a hard time being Batman. I'm like, didn't we see this in Part 1? Why are we doing this story again?
I don't care.
because Matt Reeves is a hack and can't come up with an original story. He stole the story from the Batman, from Chris Wozniak.
Mhm.
He is having a hard time coming up with an idea for a coherent script for the Batman 2, which is why I don't think Batman's going to happen. Lauren just proved that she could do more with the Batman universe than Matt Reeves can come up with, period. It's not looking good for Matt Reeves. I think this show exposes Matt Reeves, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Josh, any other thoughts?
No. Hashtag Batmangate. Do your research.
All right. Now on to some fun topics. We got an unboxing. Let me just make sure I cover the address. I got this. Oh, hold on. Gotta put this. I got this from trying to show McFarlane. Okay, it says McFarlane Toys. It says McFarlane Toys. So we're going to unbox this live right here for everyone to see.
Sell is the way.
I can't read the comments right now, but if that's the way. You know, I had a feeling this would happen. That's why I didn't call it Bat Dan's unboxing. And we got, hold on, let me put this.
The hell did you buy?
Mighty Lord Darkseid. And now let's move on to this guy. Maybe we should have done 1, 2, 3 in hindsight. But nice. And you're
The
on mute,
real
by the way.
fucking Batman right here. 2 of them. The exclusive from McFarlane Collectibles. Just arrived today. I'm waiting on my dark side, so I'm jealous, Bat Dan. But woo, these are beautiful. Beautiful. I can't wait. I just got it and opened it up. Zodwriter, where's your toys?
Yeah, I didn't buy any McFarlane toys. I've got the Mezco toys Superman on my shelf, and I've got a Michael Keaton Batman also from Mezco.
Nice.
But I didn't buy, and I've got a Dark Side too, but it's one of the other Dark Sides that came before when the Snyder Cut figures first started coming out.
But still, we gotta show off that cool Zack Snyder merch.
But that's neat though. That's great, guys. I mean, hey.
And actually, there is a small little sign of the Snyderverse happening. Ezra Miller rocking that flash ring. Hold on, let me just actually get on Instagram real quick. But as you may have seen,
I mean this.
Yep, exactly.
This is actually a necklace version that I have. I have the ring too.
Wow.
But yeah, so for those of you,
Just Josh.
hold on, let me just
Gotta support.
But as you know, Ezra Miller is our Flash, and if you follow this channel, I have defended Ezra Miller on more than one occasion.
Say it ain't so.
Even as far
I don't believe you.
even as far as saying Ezra Miller is innocent as the very first thing when I woke up from my anesthesia, but okay. Anyway. Okay. Hold on a second. Hold on. I'll switch to my other account. I thought I already followed Ezra Miller on this account, but I guess I don't. So let me just switch to my other
You're not a
account.
real Ezra Miller fan. You're a fake fan. You're not a real Ezra Miller fan. If you did, you'd be following him on every single account.
I swear I did follow him on this account, though. That's so odd. And now I can't figure out how to switch. God, I am not having luck today.
He didn't want you. He didn't want you to follow him. He blocked you.
Hashtag Ezra is innocent.
You're too obsessive, so he blocked you. He heard about you calling him, saying he was innocent after your surgery, and he's like, I gotta block this guy. This guy is too much.
Okay, well, let's see if I'm actually blocked on the other account real quick. So,
They're all over Twitter. I mean, people have. I think you sent it to me, Bat Dan.
yeah.
Obsessive Dan, yes.
Obsessed.
Yeah, I'm having trouble getting on the other account too. Okay, so, oh my God, hold on. I guess I have to do this on.
I think you sent it on Twitter.
Ezra Miller blocked you. Wow. That's terrible. I feel bad.
He's running away from Bat Dan.
I remember you said you were going to get that Ezra Miller tattoo on your shoulder, and he freaking blocked you. That's so sad. That's terrible.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to spend the whole stream looking for this, but I'm sure I'll find it somewhere. But basically, in one of his Instagram posts, Ezra Miller is wearing that flash ring. So
the ring never left. The ring has never left. The man is Barry Allen, in my personal opinion.
Absolutely. And he's the best.
You love to see it, right? These actors are dedicated.
Blocked in a flash.
But yeah, basically Ezra Miller rocking that flash ring. And something's definitely happening. I guess, okay, we were so distracted by my lack of preparedness. Josh, do you think this is a sign of anything or just a fun?
I mean, it just shows that the actors are like Zach. They are dedicated to what people want, and they know they're not stupid. Like, even if Ezra, doesn't have anything lined up, he knows people see him as Barry Allen, the fastest man alive. I know people, didn't like the Flash, but in Zack Snyder's Justice League, that character, in my opinion, was one of the greatest parts of that movie. And I have loved to see him, be vindicated about his innocence. And I love seeing his posts about he's living life, he's being an artist, and he's doing what he loves, just like Zack Snyder would do. And Zack Snyder supports him. Zack Snyder has done music videos for him. So I'm sure they talk. So you never know. You never know what's on the horizon in the Speed Force.
I mean, Zach has even said that that he's supported Ezra Miller about all the mental health stuff, but that Zach has defended Ezra Miller. Zack Snyder has done that. Okay, here's a post. I'm just gonna share it, and I have it up this time. But as you can see,
there it is.
From Ezra Miller rocking that flash ring.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
What about you, Zodwriter? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it could just be he's rocking his flash ring. That's cool.
But even if it doesn't mean a project's coming up, it shows that Ezra's still dedicated to the role at the end of the day. And that's something. And now Henry Cavill's suit torn to shreds. So basically what happened is during the auditions, one of the Superman actors ripped it because they didn't fit him. And I'll be honest, my issue isn't so much that happened because it was just one. It wasn't the Henry Cavill suit, mind you. It was a spare suit. There's tons of those suits out there. But the issue is James Gunn made a big show of it. He's like, oh yeah, this actor tore this suit to shreds. That's my issue. It just shows that James Gunn is insecure and he's just rubbing it in like, see, Snyder fans, we destroyed your precious Cavill suit. Ha, 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 ha.
Yep.
Just pathetic and immature. What are your thoughts on this, Josh?
Oh yeah, I just saw disrespect, and it's obvious. I've heard from some people. I don't know, just hearsay, but that the meeting with James Gunn and Henry Cavill was not pleasant. Henry was pissed, so he did the gentleman thing. The man is from he's from UK, so he did the gentlemanly thing and gave the PR answer, but deep down he is fucking pissed, right? He knows he's Superman. He knows we all see him as Superman. We've seen him do other roles like Argyle, and people are like, you're Superman, and he smiles. He tries not to comment and he tries not to make a reaction, but he knows that we know he is Superman. So fuck James Gunn. I can't wait for your trash to come out so we can have it over with, and One Punch Dan can dominate.
July 11th, 2025.
That's right. That's right.
That's what I
Amen.
said.
What about you, Zodwriter? What are your thoughts?
Well, everybody knows how I feel about James Gunn, so I'm not going to reiterate my thoughts as far as that goes. All I'll say is that this doesn't surprise me. So, what do you expect from a pig but a grunt?
But hey, you know what though? DC is possibly going to be for sale. Warner Brothers Discovery is being broken up into parts, and DC either being sold as a publicly traded company or being sold to another company. I guess, Josh, what are your thoughts on this whole rumor? Because I don't think it's actually confirmed, but it's one that's.
I mean, look at the tea leaves. I don't know if you have you probably don't have a subject on there, but it was just announced that this man is still working with Netflix. Okay, so we see the stock prices, we see the lack of money in productions like The Penguin, like Super L, CC, Task Force M. They want to try to call it some BS. Like, I don't know if you guys saw the freaking statue that was unveiled, and they had a hard time unveiling the statue, but people were just like, yeah, this is basically under James Gunn's leadership. This is the buffoonery. You know, they couldn't even, it took like 5 people to unveil a statue of the Green Lantern in LA.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Like, you know, it just shows the incompetence of this company, and I think it does need to become its own separate company. And Zazie has been purposely tanking it so he can sell it for parts. And we know where Zack Snyder is. We know he is working with Netflix still. So this Sunday, you might want to, you know, be on the right side of history. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, thank you, Sin Havoc. So those photos came from Sin Havoc's chat. Just wanted to get a clearer image of it. But Zodwriter, what are your whole thoughts on this?
My main thoughts are, I hope it's true.
I hope so too, because at the end of the day, yes, we're all for Cell. We want Cell to happen. Cell's the key to get the Snyderverse. But what about after that? Like, I don't want the DC brand to end with the Snyderverse. I want it to be a successful way after the Snyderverse. And I want to see the conclusion of this story. And I hope, like, I don't know. See, I'm very mixed on this. On one hand, if Netflix buys DC, that's good. The problem with that, though, for the Snyderverse is that it slows things down because, you know, just them buying the Snyderverse, it's just, okay, there's no federal FTC involvement that can happen. If they buy DC, then the FTC has to get involved. Then they have to be like, okay, this is approved. Okay, we have to wait a year for this to be approved, whatnot, yada, yada, yada. So that's my only concern with Netflix buying DC. I think in the long run, it'll be good for DC if Netflix buys them, but I want whatever option gets us the Snyderverse soonest. Whatever gets us ZSJL 2 and 3 and Sin Havoc. I know in Skywalker's chat, you were saying it's going to be episodic, but for now, until something comes out, until a deal is made, I'm calling it Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3. Because that's the format, and that's just, people know what I'm talking about when I say that. And because of my OCD, I kind of still want it to be a movie, even if right now it's supposed to be episodic. But that's a topic for another day. But I think this is really great news because the thing is, Warner Brothers has been a shit company for so long. Even if Warner Brothers does get sold again, and Josh, check your chat now. But even if Warner Brothers does get sold, the thing is, it's another regime, right? You know, unless they fire every single person from Warner Brothers, there's still that sliver that's going to infect the whole company. Discovery, it started off great, but they kept that little slither that because Peter Safran was still in the company, he was hired, brought on James Gunn, and that little sickness spread throughout all the new companies. So, and nope, Darth Plato, not under Disney. We don't need one company owning Disney and Marvel. But, or this one, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. One company is never too good. That's a monopoly.
Like, I'll be honest, like this whole, like, all these like companies that these fast food chains that used to sell Pepsi now selling Coke, I don't like that. Because even though I actually do prefer Coke products to Pepsi products, you need that competition. So places like Culver's and Arby's, which used to serve Pepsi, now serving Coke, you're giving Coke too much of a monopoly. I don't like that. So, which again, Culver's actually a known brand outside the Midwest?
We have it here.
Okay. I mean, I guess I kind of knew you had it, but I wasn't sure how widespread that was. But
there's one. It's good custard. I like that. Butter burgers. Pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably better by us because it's a Wisconsin chain and it's closer to Wisconsin. But anyway, I'm sorry. We're getting off topic. But yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, this is the last hope for DC. This sale needs to happen. Plus, again, depending on how this gets approved, if it's maybe just because it's like an asset, not an entire company, and it can get approved quickly, could you imagine if Superman Legacy does become a tax write-off?
You love to see it.
Gunn is shaking because he was backed by Warner Brothers. Most companies want to make money. So James Gunn does not make money, people. Like, that is the reality of it. His one DC movie that came out flopped. Don't give me the COVID excuse. Other movies did well during COVID. Kong versus Godzilla did well with the exact same circumstances under a worse case of COVID. So the only thing is, I hope it's not publicly traded, because I worry that if it's publicly traded, that means that there's no new CEOs and Gunn would remain in charge. I don't know how all that stuff works, but I hope it's not a publicly traded company for that reason. But I don't know. Either of you two, do you got any other thoughts with this?
I'm ready for this to no longer be under WBD.
That would be the best thing.
So Hogwarts, Harry Potter and Tolkien is up for sale.
They're two biggest franchises.
And actually, I think you spelled Tolkien wrong because there's an I in it. I know because South Park, when they retconned the character of Tolkien in South Park, there was all comment about how Cartman didn't realize that Tolkien had an I in it.
Very true.
So, newer season of South Park, for those who don't know. Anyway, we hope that DC, the sale happens, and we'll see. Okay, Netflix, Amazon, and Comcast. So, before we wrap up, we have a trending event on Sunday, 11/17, the anniversary of Justice League. SellZSJLToNetflix, and also Sell Snyderverse to Netflix. There's only room for one hashtag on here on this banner. So, for one long hashtag. So, yeah. So, be on the lookout for that. I have some plans to hype up this trending event on this channel. So, and one of them is I swear. Okay, here we go. Overall, coming up is I plan to do a Rebel Moon of Curse of Forgiveness watch party. Maybe tomorrow if I can get some guests. If not, I might move that to Sunday. So, I'll be reaching out to people. So we'll see about that, but I will try to get that out. Yeah, Sin Havoc. I know. I fail, Sin Havoc. I guess, Josh, for what you're okay with saying online, I know you're going to be on hiatus soon, aren't you?
Yes, I will be around. I will definitely. I will be, if you check the flyers from the hashtag SellZSJL, I'm actually on there, which I did not know. So I will be helping out with the trending a day on Sunday, 11/17/2024. I encourage everybody to get out there, spread the message, be positive, and show everybody that, the tea leaves just point to me that, things are lining up. Zach is once again working with Netflix, going to be doing an LAPD suspense action movie. And I think that he's being taken care of and his fans are. So I will be promoting the trending events and just be rocking out. I will have some stuff going on in my personal life, so I might be a little
distant. It's been crazy today, but I'll be after the stream hanging out with my mother since we talked about Francis Cobblepot or Cobb been on my mind. So I will be rocking out with you guys and supporting the community. I can't wait to see One Punch Dan and more content coming soon.
Well, thank you, Josh. I really appreciate you coming on and getting this review in before you have to take off for a little bit, but I'm glad you'll at least be around in some capacity.
Yes, sir.
And what about you, Zodwriter?
Well, for me, there's only one thing,
Yep, you did.
one major thing going on. It's called One Punch Dan, and I'm continuing to work on that. So, like Sin Havoc likes to say, stay tuned.
Punching you, Josh. Punching you. Because just Josh. And yes, in Havoc, yep, you did say that. I know you said one. Well, I don't remember you saying or two. I remember you saying UFC and one other project. So, and I do plan to talk more about that in this watch party. I do. So, be on the lookout for that. And again, Zodwriter, Josh, thank you for coming on. And guys, if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell for more unique takes, interesting thoughts, and great discussions such as these. And on that note, any final words, guys?
Hashtag sell it.
Sell.
In that case, have a bat-tastic day.
One Punch Dan.